Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Talking with Michael. How you doing, Michael? And you're watching Talking with Michael. And today we have Daniel Garcia McGuire. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to be here.
So you call yourself a community organizer.
Yes, sir.
As well as an advocate for education or advocate for youth.
Both. Yeah.
Break that down for us. What does that mean?
It usually means that what I'm trying to do is get people access to education, improve the community outcomes because of the child's access to education. Like mom can go to work, dad can go back to school or take a second shift at the job, and the child is in a safe place and can hit the ground running. As soon as we get kids into school, the better. And so I've been trying to get more programs online and more parents aware of those programs, and then also educate the community on like what's going on within the community, like bike lanes and development, real estate, schools, lots of things, parks. So I just try to bring the community together as much as possible.
Now, you said that you were raised by social workers?
That's right.
And raised by the system. What do you mean by that?
Both my parents are social workers. So, basically they were always trying to pay it forward and make. I don't know. It was really innate. It was kind of unspoken, but it was very ingrained in me that you help yourself by first helping the community, and then you can help yourself. But you first help the community, and you in turn get benefit from that help. But you rise and fall as a community, and
that's very interesting because a lot of people don't function that way. In fact, a lot of advice people say to others or that they believe in is, hey, I'm going to do me.
Yeah.
And when I'm good, then I might help you out.
Yeah, looking out for number one. Looking out for number one is the American way. And I mean, it's very human too. But it's also the way we can fail a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Now, Jay-Z started your political career?
No,
You're advocate.
It was more just neighbors of mine that I knew were being pressured out of their homes, and so that came from the Atlantic Yards project where there was
and not in a positive way, ladies and gentlemen.
No, not at all.
Not in a positive way.
So I mean, really, my father got me and my mother, but father and my mother got me into organizing at a very young age, where I was going out to rallies. I think my first rally was 3 or 4 that I walked in or marched in.
Wow.
And I had a shirt on that I still have a little photo of nearby that says, a photo of me at the rally with my mother.
Wow.
That says "No child is born a racist" on my shirt.
Wow.
And so I like that photo, and I'm acting silly and making a silly face. So I like that. I started working with community groups Develop Don't Destroy Brooklyn to make sure that people could stay in their homes if they wanted to stay. And it's the most American idea is this is my property, my land. And unfortunately what essentially happened was that the real estate development corporation that planned and eventually did take over the Atlantic Yards development was in bed, had a lot of quid pro quo, let's just say.
You have to be politically correct on this show.
Good.
It's a conspiracy against the people.
They had a lot of friends at Empire State Development Corporation and started pressuring people to move out of their homes and said essentially that the state was going to take over their home anyway so that they could sell now or just
now that was not necessarily true.
No, it was not true.
Wow.
But once they were able to move out enough people, then they were able to say, oh, this is a blighted community. They also had people running around this has never been confirmed, but I know it to be true, that they like had people throwing rocks in windows and like breaking windows to then take photos of the neighborhood and be like, you see, it's falling down. And
wow, that sounds like Bronx. I'm sorry.
yeah, for real. Yeah, the Bronx. Yeah, Williamsburg is going to happen again, I think, in the South Bronx. Wow. But yeah, this was just a horrible example of like state overreach and power.
Now, see, most people don't know it as the Atlantic Yards. They just
Barclays, yeah.
The Barclays, you know, people were like, this is great for Brooklyn. Yeah. Jay-Z's going to get involved. Jay-Z's going to bring in the Nets. Nothing against Jay-Z.
Right.
I'm just saying that this, you know.
So, yeah, I had a big problem with Jay-Z because he won from Brooklyn. So he already's got like a leg up on everyone else because it already makes you a good person. So you got a good standing there. And then he said, wait a second, I can make a lot of money from doing a little partnership with this Forest City Ratner.
Right.
And this man got a stake into the Nets at, I think, 0.0015%, and claimed to be an owner of the Nets, and basically was used by Forest City Ratner to go and promote and the arena itself, Barclays, and to promote creation of jobs and like long-term living sustainability.
None of this happened, or because let me just back up from an audience standpoint, just a watcher.
Right.
We were excited for Jay-Z. We thought this would be great for Brooklyn. That's the way it was pitched to us.
Right.
And none of this is true.
Well, it's not that it's not good for Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. What I like to say, like, Brooklyn is already and has already been doing great on its own. Like, we didn't need anyone to come in from Ohio or wherever these Forest City Ratner people were from and say, oh, we're going to build you guys a stadium, and then Brooklyn will be back on the map. Brooklyn was already on the map, and that was because of us and the community and the people that lived there for generations, not because of any development that comes in and says, oh, you're welcome.
Wow.
The jobs that were promised were initially 30 to 30,000 permanent jobs that this arena would produce, and it has not produced that. There were lines outside of the arena when they first started accepting jobs that they just stopped. They just like cut people off and said like, sorry guys, go home. And these were the people that Jay-Z had spoken to and said, these jobs are going to be reserved for you.
Wow.
Like, we got to get NYCHA residents back employed. We got to make sure that everyone from the most vulnerable communities are being helped and boosted up from this development. And yeah, these jobs have been few and far between. And if they are a job, it's like concession, usher, part-time, non-union jobs.
Well, this is space. Mm-hmm. Let's just think about this as space. So when you look at that space, quickly, how many people lost opportunities because of this? Not only financially, but let's just say living. Like, how many people lost their homes?
Oh, I'm sure. Hundreds, definitely hundreds. But
wow.
Yeah, like
that's crazy.
There were some that like some people got paid. Like what really was nasty was that basically these lawyer teams would show up at people's homes and say, hey guys, you're in the footprint. This will become government property very soon.
What?
And you can either sell now or have your house basically taken. And so then most people...
When's the last... what is that? The Central Park.
Yep, yeah, that happened. It happened in a few communities, black and brown communities, near Central Park, because they bulldozed that. But yeah, so most people accepted the money.
Wow.
That was, from my personal interaction with these homeowners, was not market value.
Okay.
But they were then, if they signed and agreed to sell their property, what came along with that was a gag order. Okay, so they couldn't talk about the money.
Wow.
Then Forest City Ratner went to the papers and said every homeowner is getting at least $1 million ahead.
And that's not
true, but they couldn't talk about it because they had accepted the money.
Nice.
It was just like Stormy Daniels, essentially.
So
same idea.
So this happened. Now, how does this inspire you? What was ignited within you after hearing this, especially coming from a background of activists?
Right. Well, first was anger.
Okay.
And then was just action. Like, we just have to start being out there every day. And so, yeah, we'd be on the corner of Atlantic and Flatbush, like, just be like, no, we won't go. No. And just like trying to tie things up in court. And basically, like, we saw people move in from Empire State Development Corporation that has the ability to claim eminent domain. And those who work for Forest City Ratner, like, it was just too clear for us, and we didn't see a benefit to the community coming in. So, like, we saw at first there was only one what's this called? It's called request for proposal, essentially, where different developers can submit ideas for what they want to do with that property. And this usually happens, it has to be a competitive process, but there was only one person who was selected or even submitted a proposal, and that was Forest City Ratner. Because of the lack of competition, were basically the public freaked out and was like, no, actually you need to make sure that there is a competitive process. So they opened it up for another like 60 days or something like that.
Wow.
And 2 more developers were able to submit their proposals in time. So great, we got 3 proposals that they can choose from. The cheapest proposal was not Forest City Ratner, the cheapest for the taxpayer. Even though there were only 3, Forest City Ratner was the most expensive one, and they still chose the Forest City Ratner proposal, even though it was more expensive to the taxpayer. And we still haven't seen all these affordable housing units that they promised. So we were promised something like 1,600 affordable units in these 27 acres of property, 16 buildings. We have seen, I think, their new proposal is 4 to 6 buildings go up, and the number has been reduced to like 224 or like 223 affordable units. So like 1,600 down to 220, and we're still paying a huge amount of money, around $2.1 billion that we can trace straight to Forest City Ratner.
Wow.
And yeah, it's the most expensive arena ever built in the history of the United States. It's valued at $4.9 billion that they spent. So half of that being spent by the taxpayer is just unsustainable. And it just got me so angry about like what we could do with that money, with building schools, having textbooks that are up to date, building a park, like community center, senior center. Like, let's get like lactation stations in there, bikes, like let's get everything. But just to have all that money go to one private organization was just heartbreaking. And then they just put the icing on the cake, and they decided to name it Barclays. You gotta be kidding me, man. Like, Barclays Bank is the bank because it is one of the biggest banks in the world.
Right,
2 is a multinational bank because of the slave trade. That's it. Like, wow. That is it. So Barclays became like one of the first multinational banks because of the triangle trade route.
Wow.
And the West Indian, the Dutch company, West Indian Trading Company. Yeah.
Yeah, West Indian Trading Company.
Yeah, they made good money.
Wow.
They still make good money.
And still making good money.
Yeah, the LIBOR scandal. Basically, if you've taken out a car loan, a home loan, a student loan, that loan has been depreciated because of Barclays. So now they're saying, hello, Brooklyn, welcome to Brooklyn. And I'm like, screw that.
Wow.
You're not Brooklyn. Brooklyn is already itself before you came in here. We didn't need you to come in here.
Wow.
And people should have kept their homes.
So, you know what, with all this, and I'm sure there are high times and low times, you know, working with youth, working with just the politics that go with
rough,
dealing. What holds you together? Like,
well,
you know, where you say, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep trying, I'm going to keep affecting in a positive way these kids' lives.
Yeah.
And the community, because you're talking about real estate as well as homes as well as kids.
Right, yeah. A lot of people, I always kind of forget this, a lot of people forget this, that the community real estate is really tied to education because of the fact that we fund our schools from property taxes.
Right.
So like there's a lot to do with that and what corporation and like corporate development can mean for a community and education. Yeah. But what really drives me, I think, is like I was really moved as a kid with I learned what the motto of Brooklyn is. It's Dutch, so I apologize for any mispronunciation. But it's something like "En drach macht macht," which means in unity there is strength. And yeah, no, it is really. Yeah, I always say like about me, I'll write, I believe in Brooklyn. So I believe in the community fighting for itself because it knows what it needs and it knows what it wants. But Brooklyn is so dynamic and so full of life that like I just love talking to people everywhere in Brooklyn.
Right. Well, this is how we met.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. We just were on the street, like, hey, how you doing? Like, yeah, it's...
How'd you get into this? Well,
yeah.
Jay-Z disappointed.
Jay-Z's a buster, yeah. That's just it. So, yeah, like, yeah, Jay talked about, like, oh, he became a owner, and he was doing it up, and if he can do it, anyone can do it.
And to be fair, Jay, if you want to come on the show...
Yes, please.
And talk about your point of view...
Please.
I'm totally open to that.
Right, yes. Being a partial owner is itself a great thing, but to sell Brooklyn out is unconscionable. Like,
definitely a choice.
Yeah, no, I mean, he did, like, he also broke my heart when he basically sectioned off the maternity award for Bay.
That's true? That really did happen?
Yeah, like, parents who had kids that night couldn't see their kids through the neonatal ward when they're like looking through the window. Yeah, because they were worried about photos from the press and stuff. So
you serious?
Yeah. I saw that on News 12 Brooklyn, and News 12 Brooklyn is as local as local news gets. So I trust it. Like these parents were just like, I couldn't see my child, and I was like, what? So they paid the maternity ward in I forget which hospital in Brooklyn.
Wow.
But
somebody's tight.
Yep.
Eternally against. That's not cool. Yeah. That's not cool. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But then why didn't they just bring their child somewhere else?
Right. Yeah. Or get a doula in there, a little midwifery.
Just put a little gate or something.
Yeah, they can afford it. They can afford a pool. You can have a birth in the pool, and that's good for the baby.
Wow. See, I thought all that was rumors and just people hating. On a successful black family.
Yeah, right.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Wow.
With Trump going after LeBron and all that. We see it. We see it all the time.
You know, what do you think of that?
I think it's, again, just a power structure where people feel entitled. Like, I have a feeling it's similar to Forest City Ratner coming into Brooklyn and being like, Brooklyn, we're going to make it better, don't worry. Like, that feeling of like you're entitled to have that sort of opinion or that sort of action or belief before you even talk to the person. So like Trump should sit down with LeBron and talk to the man, and he might learn something. But
also, again, from our little experience with presidents, right? We've never seen someone that just heckles people randomly. Of course, they didn't have Twitter
Right.
years ago
It's sad.
also, but even, I mean, Obama had Twitter and he wasn't.
Right.
Remember when Kanye made comparisons to his wife, saying that she's more impactful or more significant than like Michelle or something like that, or Obama?
Wow.
To be on a magazine cover. There was someone leave a comment if you know exactly or you know where the article is, but
Please, yeah.
Obama just kind of was like he's an idiot
Right.
and just let it go. Like, I'm above this. I'm the
And he
head
was,
of the
yeah.
free world.
Right, and he was. Like, he is. Or
I
he
have
should
no. You said he is.
He should be, yeah. He should
In
be.
our hearts, he still
Right.
is president.
Yeah, no.
So,
but
it is
it
what it
was
is.
just heartbreaking that essentially there's so much vitriol against the changing of what we see as America
Right.
that the backlash was. And the backlash was
That's what it was. It was a blacklash.
Yeah,
Say it right.
Like these people who voted for Trump, like I don't know. I don't understand.
I understand.
I kind of
I
understand,
understand.
but like some of them voted against their own interests. They're
Well,
like, I am sick.
You know what I get from it, and anyone out there that could clarify, because they're
Yeah.
very level-headed, focused, open, non-racist people that support Trump.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
And, you know, and in talking to some of these individuals, I understand where they're coming from.
Right.
That is PC, isn't it? Yeah.
Very,
But
yeah.
I do. I get
I
where they're
understand
coming
where they're
from.
coming from. Right.
It's just that there's such an overwhelming amount of idiots
Right. And like,
that really kind of ruin everything. And then when he heckles people, it's like all the praise and all the positive things you hear and why people made that decision. And he just, like a little, you know, just
Right.
ruins it. Like, wow, I was almost sold. And then you
right.
want to call every black man possible in the media an idiot.
Right. So what I've seen is like, usually what has happened is that people who are level-headed, though in the minority, there are very many out there who support Trump. But what they're doing is supporting Trump because of like a certain issue or a certain
It's very
handful
specific.
of issues. Right.
It's very specific, and
And
then
it's-
also loyalty to the party.
Yeah, no doubt, yeah. But it's much more like, I care about my guns, or I care about my evangelical beliefs, or I
Right.
care about, abortion, or I care about whatever it is, law and order. And then they say, for that reason,
Right.
I will sacrifice everything else. And essentially, I think it has to do a lot with white privilege, but they can kind of blot out and forget about all the other consequences
Right.
and all the other people that are hurt by those consequences because that one issue is working for them. Like evangelicals went for Trump, and evangelicals do not, like that is not in the Bible to go after someone, to covet your daughter. Not in the Bible. Like there were some big problems.
Well, let's just be totally honest,
Mm-hmm.
because we can do that.
Yeah, for now. No,
He did. Yeah, net neutrality. He never spoke anything in his career that I know of, or showed any kind of energy towards religion or faith.
right.
And out of nowhere, there were 2 weeks where he says, I know what the Bible is and I can spell it. And no one was wise enough at any press conferences to say, what's your favorite passage?
Right.
Tell me about Joshua.
Right, yeah.
You know, what was Jesus's mother's name? Like
Right.
no one, because I don't think he could answer any of those questions.
Right.
So if you're gonna listen, yay. If what's the word? Angelical? What's it called?
Evangelicals, yeah.
Evangelical. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
considered, you know, whatever, cool. But then test your candidates. Make
Right.
sure they really believe in. Don't get caught up in, you know, like. Listen, I'm about unity, so I could care less what political party
Right,
that
right.
you belong to and all that other good stuff. But let's test our candidates. Like, let's really put them to the test and say, hey,
what are you about?
What you talking about, Willis?
Right, exactly. Yeah, let me hear
You know what I mean?
you
Really?
have to say, and not just promises. Like basically, these people were so desperate for not a man of color that, and they were so scared that men of color were gaining some sort of foothold. Like, not even like you're gonna be oppressed. Like, it's just that some sort of parity is coming up that they said, fuck it.
And you know what? It's as far as I'm concerned, it's all love. I love all y'all watching. I love all y'all not watching. You know what? But he's racist.
Right.
Hold on a second. I gotta do like a dramatic. Ladies and gentlemen, how many presidents have we had that have been racist? This is nothing new. Get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, at this point again, I mean, like, we could go back. In fact, you know, there's a really good documentary. Oliver Stone did a series of documentaries talking about the history of the world.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I wanted to watch them.
You have to.
Yeah.
I think now, especially we are. Now, when I say the Netflix generation, I mean everyone from 50 younger, because we're all streaming, right?
Yeah.
We're all together. Stop breaking us up into little segments. We're all one. We're all part of the Netflix generation. Please watch these documentaries. Watch the ones on food too, but we're not going to get into that right now. But Oliver Stone's. It should be in every school, because he goes in on Obama too. But he really paints a picture of the different presidents and some of their social views. And, you know, I mean, I've heard people that have experienced the Great Depression and, you know, and I love FDR, blah, blah, blah. But he was racist.
Right.
Ford was outwardly racist. So this is nothing new. But this needs to be common knowledge also.
Right.
It needs to be, and we need to start looking at these things. And I applaud you, Oliver Stone, for making that, because you didn't have to. You have money. Like, you don't really need to explore more Hitler and this and that, and so it's really good. So what would you're the future.
Thank you.
Yes, you're the future of our social situation in this country, and I applaud you for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
And all the things that you're attempting to do.
Right. Yes. Yeah. We're trying.
Do you see light at the end of the tunnel for us as a world community as well as a local community?
Yes. I want less fear in the world, and I think that comes from more engagement, more interaction. So I want people to be less fearful of saying hello to each other and acknowledging each other in the street, anywhere, on the subway, you know, giving up your seat, or just holding the door for someone. I think that goes a long way. Like I said, in unity there is strength. So yeah, I'm absolutely with you that I'm all about unity. The unity is like the number one thing. And so, yeah, political parties really don't matter. I would like to get rid of them, but that's another fight. But like George Washington, you know, number one, presidente, he hated political parties. And I recently reread his farewell address where he was talking about, it was incredibly timely. He was talking about political parties they foment anger within the domestic population and give foreign countries overt power over our country. So it becomes two countries over each other. And so I just know that we can do better as a unified front, and we can fight and you know, be strong for each other. And we remember what America is. You know? And
in unity,
there is strength.
There is strength. Thank you so much, Daniel Garcia McGuire.
Of course. Yeah.
Michael. And you're watching Talking with Michael. Thank you very much for joining us. Awesome.